Terribly sorry to disturb you, milady, but they're all ready for you.
Welcome to season 24 of Photography Online. It's a brand new show for a brand new year. Now, hopefully, you'll be happy to hear that this is an AI-free zone. Yes, we are personally responsible for all the words and all the photos you're about to see. We even recorded this music ourselves. Now, you might have been thinking we've all been having a really long break, but we have actually been hard at work to make the show bigger and better than ever before, and we think that we're there. We have got lots of big changes to tell you about, but the first is that we have a new studio. We're calling it the Photography Online Shed Quarters. Now, it might not look like much from the outside, but trust me, if we go inside, you'll see that we've given it a lick of paint. We've put a few shelves up, and now if we hit the lights, let's get this show on the road.
Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll be off on a photo tour around Namibia. We'll be diving deep into the micro world of macro photography, giving you a few tips and ideas to get great close-up shots. We've got a huge prize giveaway where you can win a week-long winter photo holiday for up to 6 people here on the Isle of Skye. And we'll be using the wrong chemicals to develop some film, on purpose of course, just to see what happens.
We've got loads of exciting new things to tell you about, including our brand new PO live show and the launch of our monthly podcast, so stick around for details of those. For now, let's start as we mean to go on. I think it's time for a photo challenge. So for those of you who have watched our previous shows, you'll be familiar with a couple of challenges that I have set for the team. On the last one, I set them the task of shooting a sunrise and a sunset on the same day, but from opposite ends of the country. Now, I thought that was going to stump them, but somehow, to my frustration, they did actually manage to achieve the goal. So I've been thinking how to up the ante, and I think I've come up with the ultimate UK photography challenge. Only problem is, it is going to take a full 7 days, and there's no way I'd be able to convince them to spend a week in each other's company, so I've come up with a plan. Just yesterday, I called them all individually.
Hello.
Hey Harry, how's it going? It's Ruth.
Hello Ruth, I'm very good, just sitting around, as you know, as ever, trying to spot a couple of otters.
Hello.
Hey James, it's Ruth. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. What can I do you for, Ruth, today?
Well, you'll be very pleased to hear, James, I have come up with a new challenge for you if you're up for it. Hey Marcus, it's Ruth. How's it going?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Challenge always sounds good. Tell me more.
Well, the plan is to go and visit and shoot all 15 national parks in the UK within 1 week. The idea being to get a photo from each park, which can be used in a 2025 calendar, which is going to go on sale to the public. How does that sound?
15 parks? Is that even possible?
I'm definitely up for that.
It was time for something a bit more challenging, wasn't it?
Basically, I've arranged some luxury transports. So all I need you to bring is whatever camera gear you want to use and clothes for a week, which probably in your case just means whatever you're wearing. The only other thing you'll need is some bedding. So if you're up for that challenge, meet me in Edinburgh, 24 hours.
You were breaking up just a little bit, but I caught 24 hours in Edinburgh.
Meet me in Edinburgh, 24 hours.
I'll be there. See you then.
But the only other thing you'll need is some bedding as well. So if you are up for the challenge, meet me in Edinburgh, 24 hours.
Blimey, okay. Yeah, I'll see you there.
All right, fabulous. See you soon.
Well, that's a turn up for the books, because I was looking for something to do for next week. Right, better start packing.
So many of the national parks that I haven't had a chance to visit, so I'm actually quite excited that Ruth called me up and gave me this challenge. It's a real excuse to tick off all the places I've been waiting to see, and well, I don't get to spend a lot of time with Ruth, so yeah, spend a week with her. I think that'll be really nice.
Well, what a phone call that is from Ruth, and what an invitation. 15 national parks in a week. Thoroughly looking forward to this.
Now let me tell you, there's not a lot of people that I'd be willing to spend a week in close proximity to touring around the UK. but Ruth is one of the few. So I'm really actually quite looking forward to this trip. And also, if I'm honest, quite humbled that she's chosen me out of the rest of the team. Although, when you consider the options she was faced with.
Just getting everything packed. I've got a couple of my RF mirrorless lenses and my trusty R5.
Going to go with some trusty prime lenses, fill the bag full of those. DSLR, 5 DSLR from Canon, going to trust that.
National parks, got to be shot on film. So I've got a couple of Texas Leicas. Reason for bringing 2 is that they've got different focal lengths, can't change the lens on those, so just gives me a few options. And then I'm going with a 4x5. It's versatile, got a load of lenses, it will give me all the options that I need. Big bag of film, that's enough for a week.
A few more t-shirts still to go. Oh, got a bit of underwear. 1, 2, 3, 2.
I've got my Monday through to Sunday socks all nicely ready to go here. So that'll keep me nice and fresh.
And a few photography online t-shirts, including the limited edition ones. Worth a lot of money, that, you know.
And so it was that each of them individually set off to meet me in Edinburgh, not knowing that they were actually going to be meeting each other. I'd worked out an escape plan to ensure I wasn't going to be present at the scene of the crime when they realised all was not turning out as they were expecting. As James was travelling from the other end of the country, it made sense for him to fly. I'd convinced Harry to get the train so that he didn't bump into Marcus on the way, who was driving his car from the Isle of Skye. All I needed to do now was to hope that they didn't all arrive at exactly the same time.
So as you can see, everyone thinks they're doing this with me on my own, so they're in for a bit of a shock. I have actually hired them this fantastic camper van so they can travel in luxury around the UK. So they will be in pretty close quarters for a prolonged period of time, which should be great fun to watch. But while we're waiting for them, why don't you come with me and I'll give you a tour. Okay, so this is the camper, and this, come follow me, this is the best feature of the entire thing. This is our U-shaped socialising area, which Marcus may or may not fit in, but there'll be lots of stuff going on here, lots of planning, I am sure, storage, all the rest of it. We have, of course, got the usual facilities, nice bathroom in here, or toilet and shower at least. And then, of course, we have got the kitchen area, and I've stocked some things in here just for the guys so they know that they've been taken care of. So we've got some brie, this is for James. We have got a little bottle of red, also for James. Some sparkling water, of course, for Marcus, and a couple of pork pies, because that's all he says he needs. Chocolate milkshake and some rusks for Harry, so hopefully they'll be happy with that. And of course, the finishing touch, just so they don't forget me.
As if they ever could. So with everything in place, all that was needed now was some photographers. James was the first to arrive.
Ruth!
Welcome.
I made it.
You did make it.
In 24 hours too.
Welcome to my camper van.
Thank you.
Do you want to have a look?
I do.
Come on around.
Although I was very excited to be spending a week in this camper van with Ruth, I thought I would get the most important issue addressed from the very start.
Any chance I could drive?
We can discuss it.
Can I try the seat?
Yeah, why not?
Dead comfy.
After a couple of long train journeys, I finally arrived in Edinburgh and was excited to be meeting up with Ruth for this epic tour of the UK's national parks. The one thing I was most excited about, though, was to be getting away from the office and Marcus for a few days. Just Ruth and I on the open road. Ah, bliss.
What's he doing here? It's Harry.
Hold on, what are you doing here?
Well, what are you doing here, more to the point? Ruth?
I hate awkward moments, so I made an excuse to move James's bags so I could get out of the car and avoid the tension.
So this is just a mix-up, obviously.
Don't ask me.
But what she's left all
I
quiet and
I know. And now she's shifting bags. Anyway, she's up to something. Still, on the bright side.
It could always be worse.
It could be worse.
And with the thought of just how bad it could have been, Harry and I adopted a positive attitude by making use of the U-shaped social area to plan our trip.
Despite my expectations that I was going to be alone with Ruth for the week, the reality of James tagging along wasn't too bad, and we started some brotherly bonding with some maps. Maybe this wasn't going to be so bad after all.
After a 6-hour drive from one side of Scotland to the other, I arrived to see Ruth waiting eagerly for me among an alarming amount of baggage. You see, I knew you wouldn't be able to travel light.
Yeah. Here, listen, you can't leave the van there. Would you just hold my iPad a second and I'll go shift it? Thanks.
Okay, no problem. Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
It got worse.
Much worse.
Hey, where's Ruth going?
Where's Ruth going? Where is Ruth going?
I've left a message on the iPad. Be nice to each other. There is absolutely no chance that A, they're going to get on with each other, and B, they'll ever complete my challenge.
There we are.
Well, we've been done.
Well, she's gone, hasn't she?
Yep.
Royally stitched up, I would say. And I'm not having this.
Well, it looks like we're together for a week, I'm afraid.
What, a week? I'm not having it.
It's only 7 days.
Come on, look, we've got a nice motorhome.
I'm not.
It's done.
I'm not having it. I'm off. I'm sorry.
Oh, James, come on.
No, I'm having one of my moments. I'm gone.
Oh, James, come on.
If he goes, we've got more space.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be a team effort. Yeah, you're right. Come on, let's go. Bring your bags in. We'll look at this video.
With James and Ruth suddenly gone, we had no idea what was going on. Maybe this mystery recorded message would shed some light on things.
Okay, so listen up. I'm here to explain the rules for your challenge. Now, as you already know, the mission is to photograph all 15 UK national parks in 1 week. Photos need to be good enough to be used in a 2025 calendar available for sale. You can shoot as many photos as you like, but I only want you to submit one from each park. Photos must be of scenes or subject within each park boundary. No manipulation of images, except for modest contrast adjustments, crop, stuff like that, but no cloning or any dodgy stuff. All shots need to be in 3:2 landscape format, and the clock officially starts at midnight tonight, and all photos have to be with me by midnight in 7 days from now. No ganging up on each other. I have left you some essentials, so have a nosy through those. Good luck, and I'll call you at various points to see how it's all going.
I can't believe she's done this to us. I mean, what? Right, so what's the time now?
It's 7:30, so 4 hours until...
Yeah, so we're in Edinburgh. Where's the nearest park?
Well, the Trossachs.
Why don't we go to the Cairngorms, because that's further north, and then we can just work our way south.
Yeah, logical.
Harry and I decided to get on the road immediately, but we'd only gone a few hundred metres before we saw a lost soul looking sorry for himself on the side of the road.
Come on,
Yes.
James. Makes sense. Come on, come join us. I've got your
Well,
favourite.
you two.
Look, bit of Rioja,
Oh, Rioja.
bit of brie.
You're so sweet. All right, I'm coming. All right. Yeah, very funny. Funny.
With Harry's cunning lure of cheese and wine, I found myself back in the motorhome and now on the road, heading north at a fair rate of knots. It wasn't long before we arrived at the UK's most northerly national park, so once we were parked up for the night, it was time to do some planning.
So who knows the Cairngorms?
Well, not me. I mean, I came here with you, but it was a long time ago. Harry?
Used to come here on holiday when I was about 13.
That'll do. So where are we going to go tomorrow then?
Some the Cairngorms is about trees and woodlands, and so we can try and find some reflections of some really nice forest.
Okay, because we've only got the morning, because then we've got to go to the Trossachs, which is the next national park, because we've got to tick off at least 2 a day to do this. And you're like this because I've been thinking.
Oh God, he's been thinking.
No, look, I thought rather than bring a duvet and a map, I would bring a combination of the two.
Oh, a map vey.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we started here, we're now up here somewhere, and then tomorrow evening we need to be back down here again.
Right. And where are we going to end up in the end?
Right down here.
Yeah, but why have you brought a duvet?
It's the one thing that Ruth told us to bring, bedding.
She didn't tell me. Where am I sleeping?
And that's your problem.
Yes, doesn't bother me.
And so it came to be that not only did I find myself having to sleep in my clothes, but also having to share a bed with Marcus. It was clear to me that Ruth's challenge wasn't as much to shoot all the national parks in a week, but to tolerate being in close quarters with these two buffoons for 7 whole days.
Next time on the National Parks Challenge.
What the hell is that?
Rating set to 1. That's not good enough. Rated 5 now. It's 5 stars.
Yeah, it looks much better now.
That's looking perfect at the moment. Are you getting that?
Yeah, no, it looks great.
You've got to get a bit of a shift on here though, because that...
Yeah, the mist is going. Do you not trust me or something?
What gives you that impression?
It was meant to be about reflections, but we've been a bit scuppered here.
This is the challenge of trying to do so many parks in such a short time.
We've not got the time, really.
What do you think of when someone says Northumberland National Park, apart from nothing?
Sausages.
Find out how the boys get on next month as they start their tour of the UK's national parks. It'll be entertaining, of course, and I'm sure they'll be educating us with their photography wisdom along the way as well. Alright, well, regular viewers will know that here on Photography Online we love a good giveaway. We've previously run some great competitions with big prizes, but we're about to give you details of how you can win the most exciting and biggest prize we've ever had. The Isle of Skye draws in photographers from all over the world who come here to capture its amazing diversity of landscapes illuminated by the unique Hebridean light. And at no time is this better than during the winter months. As well as the world-class landscapes, there's an abundance of wildlife on offer too. We are giving you the chance to win a week-long photography holiday for up to 6 people. You'll be staying in this log cabin situated right on the shore overlooking the mighty Kulin Mountains. You can even get amazing shots from the decking or relax in front of the wood fire. With 3 bedrooms, all of which sleep 2 people, and numerous areas to chill out and look through your photos from the day, this really is the perfect base for a photo trip. Now, as good as that is, we thought we would make the prize even better, so we've added a couple more bits for you. One of the team members from Photography Online will spend a day with you, showing you some of our favourite secret locations on the island and helping you to improve your photography. After a dawn shoot here at the world-famous Kerrang, we will take you just over there to our first choice for a full Scottish breakfast, the Uig Hotel, before continuing a great day of photography around the rest of the island. And then, to top it all off, you can come and watch us record some of Photography Online and meet myself. Hang on, surely that makes the prize less attractive. No? Well, you don't have to do that part if you don't want to. All in all, though, it is worth over £2,000. So keep watching to find out how this amazing prize could be yours. I'll be telling you how to enter in just a few minutes. Before that though, one of the most popular topics that we get asked to cover is macro, and to prove that we do listen, we've teamed up with gadgetbag.co.uk, who've armed team member Nick with a few gadgets to help him get great shots of very small things, both indoors and out.
You're probably familiar with the situation where you really want to get out and take photos, but the light is dull, and subjects which would usually work well in this light, such as waterfalls and woodland, are all looking a bit sorry for themselves at this time of year. Faced with this problem, I had an idea to keep myself amused for a while, but I needed to get a couple of things. The first was the same thing you need for any photo, a subject. The second was slightly more novel, as I needed somewhere to keep my subject. It's not often I've said that before. In fact, I think this is the first. You see, I had an idea which involved my macro lens, a piece of my gear which doesn't get enough use. But these grey, overcast days are the perfect time to try out something new and think differently about our photography. Getting up close to very small subjects requires a whole new approach, but one which I was eager to indulge in. Now that I've got the subject and the environment set up, let me tell you what I'm going to use to photograph it.
The camera is the Canon EOS R5. Now this camera has the animal eye tracking feature, but of course the tadpoles are very small. I doubt it'll be able to lock onto their eyes. What I am hoping it will do is lock onto a moving subject, and that could be very useful indeed. I also envisage me having to use manual focus a lot. I'll just have to see how it goes. The lens that I'll be using to photograph the tadpoles is the Canon RF 100mm macro lens. This gives you a magnification of up to 1.4 times with a closest focusing distance of only 26 centimeters. Now I may also use this focusing rail, which will allow me to fine tune my distance to the subject, and this may come in very handy.
Using a combination of various kinds of lights and backgrounds gave me lots of scope to experiment with different setups. The lights I'm using here are very affordable, yet give out plenty of power. They allow you to not only change the output but also the colour temperature. I'm experimenting with a combination of softboxes and LED panels, which are not only great for macro work but also for indoor portraiture, product photography and video too.
Well, I've been trying to get shots for a little while now, and I thought I'd run you through my settings. Now my aperture is currently at f2.8, which yes is the widest aperture of this lens, and of course I'm very close to my subject, so my depth of field is very shallow. My ISO is currently at 6400, and that's giving me an exposure time of 640th of a second. Now I need a pretty fast exposure time because the tadpoles are continually moving. Now what I've been doing is I've been using the animal tracking on the autofocus, which seems to be working pretty well for me, but what I'll do is wait for a subject to come into view, and I will press the AF, which pretty much most of the time locks onto the subject, continues to follow it if I move the camera around a little bit. I've previewed the images on the back of the camera, and to be honest with you, they just look like black blobs at the moment, but I'll wait until I get them on the computer, and fingers crossed I have got something that's half decent.
I have to admit, I was on a steep learning curve here, but this was the purpose of the exercise, to try out some new ideas, techniques and equipment. I quickly discovered that I needed more space around the tank to position lights, so I moved the setup to my living room, which gave me lots more options. You can tell just by looking at the video that the quality of light I was able to get here was much better. Even I looked pretty good in it. The rail really did come in handy, as it allowed me to set the lens to the closest distance and then focus by adjusting the distance between the camera and the subject. This ensured I got the maximum magnification and is often a much easier way to focus when doing close-up macro work. If you don't already know, a lens's closest focusing distance is measured from the sensor, not the front of the lens. As already mentioned, this lens focuses down to 26 centimeters, but this actually enables the front of the lens to get within only 7 or 8 centimeters to the subject. Incidentally, if you've ever wondered what this symbol, which is on all cameras, is for, it's the plane of the sensor, showing the exact position where measurements are taken from. So here are a couple of my shots which I felt the light worked well in. I like the gold surface of the water here, and the contrast of the cool tones in this one. And who knew tadpoles were flecked with gold? Once I was finished with the tadpoles, I returned them to their natural home, but I had now found my macro mojo. So waited for spring to arrive and went outside to see what I could get working with natural light.
So I've come into my local woodland here, and there's lots of very small things to photograph with my macro lens. At the moment I've found these really nice mosses on this old tree trunk here, and there's also some clover. Now I'm actually pointing my camera towards the sun, so the sun is every now and again breaking through the cloud and coming through the canopy, and I'm able to use that in the background. I'm shooting wide open at 2.8 with this lens to render my subject as in focus as possible, but obviously a very shallow depth of field because I'm very close to the subject as well. But what that's allowing me to do is blur the background, and you get this really nice bokeh in the background with the light coming through the canopy. So the sun's just about to break through. I'll just see if I can get something with the light. And obviously because the sun is continually moving around, I'm having to change my position in relation to the sun. So
happy with that shot, I went to see what else I could find. Looking for macro subjects requires a totally different mindset to more conventional photography. If you're looking for one, it's all too easy to overlook the other. For this reason, I would advise you not to try both at the same time. Either go out with the intention of shooting exclusively macro, or look for wider and more distant scenes. If you try to do both, you probably won't get the best out of either option.
I found this really nice wee white flower here on this fallen down mossy tree trunk. Every now and again the light's been coming through the trees and lighting up the moss surrounding the flower, and I think it might just about to come out. It's lighting up the tree trunk on the tree behind me. So I'm actually getting really quite low down, so I'm getting a really nice clean foreground. Well, that's quite nice. And what I'm also getting is the mosses in the background are showing really nicely out of focus in my background. So it's a case of just waiting for that light. It's just about to come again, hopefully. So it's a case of waiting for the light and see what I can get with it.
This is one of the main differences between working with artificial lighting, as it was before, and now with natural light. The latter requires patience, but as long as you're willing to wait, you'll often find yourself being rewarded.
That feature was brought to you in partnership with gadgetbag.co.uk, who, as their name suggests, sell all kinds of gadgets to help improve your photography. If you found our macro feature useful, then be sure to join us for our PO live show in a couple of weeks' time, when we'll be looking at the best macro options on the market for both budget users and those who want only the best. We'll also have lots of other interesting features, including one I'm particularly looking forward to, photo detectives. We'll be starting at 7 p.m. UK time on Sunday the 21st, when myself and the whole team will be here live in real time. If you can't make it at that time, then the show will still be available to watch anytime afterwards, but you will miss out on our live giveaways and the interactive fun. Okay, well, I think now is a good time to explain how we're going to be operating for the rest of this year. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be releasing our main show on the first Sunday of each month. Our free premiere party kicks off at 4 p.m. UK time, which is where the whole team are available in the online chat to answer any questions and to say hi during the first showing of each new episode. It's then available to watch as a normal video anytime afterwards, forever. As just mentioned, we'll then be broadcasting our PO live show on the third Sunday of each month. From next month, this will only be available to our official supporters, but so that everybody can see what it's all about, we're making this month's show available for everyone to watch. We will then have our monthly Photography Online podcast, which is available on Apple, Spotify, and all the other major platforms. In fact, the first episode is already available, so please give that a listen on your commute to work tomorrow. I'll also be telling you about our new supporter package in a moment, something which is really important to us and for the future of photography online. So if you want to see these shows continue and help us to make quality content for you, please stick around for that, as we're relying on you to make this a success. Before that, we want to give you something. Yes, it is our biggest ever prize giveaway, a week-long winter photo holiday here on the Isle of Skye for up to 6 people, worth a whopping £2,000. As well as being surrounded by this amazing scenery, you'll also get to see us recording content for a future show, which, let's face it, is priceless. To be in with a chance of winning, all you need to do is watch this next feature and count how many hot air balloons you see. If the same one appears twice, then count that as 2, so just assume that every one you see is a new one. If you only see part of a balloon, that counts as well. Once you think you have the answer, simply go to the link in the video description. All you have to do is give your answer and enter your details. We need these to contact you if you win. We don't use them for anything else, so don't worry about that. All the terms and conditions are clearly stated, but I can assure you there is nothing dodgy in there. I know, because I wrote it myself. It's open to anybody 18 years or older, so give it a go. If that's all clear, then let's get going, all the way to Africa.
Welcome to the world's second least densely populated country. A vast wilderness filled with some of the highest sand dunes in the world's oldest desert, and the second largest canyon. Looks can be deceiving, but no, I'm not in Scotland, I'm actually in Namibia. Nestled in the southwestern corner of Africa, I'm regularly told this is a remarkable country. We have led photographic holidays to many places around the world, but usually to places that we already know very well, or places we have lived previously. However, we're running out of those places, so I've decided to try and add a new destination to the lineup. I'm here for a couple of weeks exploring some honeypot locations and hopefully some lesser known spots as well. I'm in a generous mood, so why don't you come along with me and see what I get up to. It was set to be a jam-packed few weeks of long days, epic locations, and a real taste of the African desert. After a long flight, I jumped straight into a hire car, fortunately with a few more working parts than this one, and set off for my first location, the Matterhorn of Africa. So I've arrived at Spitzkoppe, and if you've ever been to Mesa Arch out in the southwest of America, this probably look vaguely familiar. This is known as Eye of the Bushman, and it's a pretty well-known viewpoint. It's something that I had clocked in my inspiration board of Namibia images for quite a while, so I had to come and see it, and in fact I've camped right behind the rock, so I'm as close as possible for sunrise, sunset, maybe some astrophotography as well. I've literally just rocked up, so I'm just trying out a couple of angles, trying to see what works best. Spitzkoppe is the largest hill in the background there, and I do want to feature that, but we've got some really nice hills just off to the right there, which are called the Pondocs as well. So it's just trying to find a balance of where to place the arch at the moment. I've got everything slap bang in the middle of frame, but I'm considering moving across somewhere around here and framing just those hills with the arch with the last light of the sun. Sun's going down off to the west, to the left just there. So I've got quite a few options. Stick around here for a little while and see if the light improves a little bit. Just like Mesa Arch in the USA, this spot also attracts a few visitors. So trying to capture the scene with no one else in the shot took a bit of waiting, but patience is a virtue, and the wait was worth it. So the lights are finally started to come good, and I've moved from where I was there just round to the western face of the arch. And I'm not using a tripod because the one I brought is slightly too short, and I'm also slightly too short, and I need to get the camera up a little bit higher there just to reduce the gap between the arch and the top of the mountain. So it was time to hit the road and head to my next location. The great thing about exploring a country for the first time is never knowing what is round the next corner. On this occasion, I chanced upon an otherworldly landscape resembling a huge meteor crater, which completely took me by surprise. Naturally, I had to stop and check it out. It's quite far away, so using the telephoto lens, there's just loads of shapes and abstract patterns out there. I mean, you can stand here for hours just picking out details. I've got to get back on the road in a minute, but what a view. Often the views I stumble upon by chance end up being some of my favourite locations. This one was no exception, so I decided to change my plans. I loved the view so much that I actually found somewhere about 5 minutes away to stay for the night. So I'm all set up camping down there, and I've come back up here for sunset. It's about half an hour away, and just enjoying the lovely long shadows, the golden light. There's nothing much to it really. I'm shooting with the long lens again and just picking out some nice abstract patterns. I was joined by a beautiful bird. I think it was a wheatear. I've no idea most of the birds down here as part of the learning curve. But yeah, we'll just sit around and wait now and enjoy the sunset. Since I was staying in the area, I decided to get up unreasonably early for a walk in the dark to a different area of this weird landscape. I had no idea what to expect. It isn't a spot many photographers have captured, so I was quite excited to see if it had any potential. The views are just panoramic. I mean, every direction. There's these endless little ruts and valleys, and I mean, you can see why it's called the moon landscape. It's just bizarre up here. We're about 5 minutes away from sunrise, and once it pops up above the horizon, I think it's going to be a mad scrabble to shoot, to shoot 360 degrees in every direction. So my favourite composition so far is this scene just behind me here. There's a really, really nice leading line carving its way through the middle of these Lunar-esque hills, and I've shot quite a few different versions over the course of this morning as the light has changed from pre-dawn red glow on the rocks to the light just hitting the sides of some of these hills on the right now. I might give it a few more minutes, but I've got a long drive today to get to Namibia's most photogenic spot. So began the long drive. Namibia is a big old country, so driving large distances is par for the course. Many of the roads are remarkably smooth, but as you get further and further away from large towns, the roads get bumpier. So bumpy, in fact, it was hard to keep the camera attached to the vehicle at times. Finally though, we reached what many consider to be what Namibia is all about. Big red sand dunes. My arrival in the area of Sesrim and Trossachs was met with wind. Now, living on a Scottish island, I don't really mind the wind, but when it's blasting you with sand at the same time, I mind it slightly more. The next morning though, I knew the wind would drop, and I was hiking into one of my most eagerly anticipated locations of the whole trip. I'm in possibly Namibia's most iconic photography location. the Deadvlei, or Deadvlei. It's a dried up water pan that's filled with old petrified trees that are in the hundreds of years old. Now, photographically, compositionally, it's quite difficult. It's a complicated scene. There's trees scattered everywhere. They're all kind of overlapping, and trying to make something aesthetically pleasing here can be quite a challenge. I've just spent the last few minutes wandering back and forth in this circle, trying to frame a few of the trees in the background there. And I think I finally found a spot I'm pleased with. I might have a little more of a walk around, see if I can improve it, but then it's just a case of waiting for a bit of light to come down across the trees. So I'm relatively happy with this spot at the moment. I got plenty of images I was happy with after just 2 mornings, but safe to say I could have stayed to explore this area for the next month. The variety of possibilities with all the trees and the way the light interacts with them offers almost endless possibility. Couple that with even more sand dunes and locations nearby, and I could easily see why this is such a special place for photography. I sacrificed one sunrise in this amazing place to take to the skies rather than the sand, and jumped into a hot air balloon, a first for me. Think of it as drone photography, but with none of the angst over crashing it, so sit back and enjoy the views. Alas, it was time to move on again, and after more driving, and then a little bit more, I arrived at somewhere that would rival Deadvlei as top of the spots. You join me in, well, a bathtub, but I'm in Coleman's-Kop, an abandoned diamond mining town right on the west coast of Namibia. It's a pretty iconic location, but it's one that I just had to visit. I got up early this morning, arrived before the sun came up to try and get some pre-dawn shots, and I am now just taking a quick rest. I've spent the last few hours exploring nearly every nook and cranny of this place. Let me show you what I've been up to. I spent all day exploring, marking out the compositions I wanted to return to in better light, as well as taking advantage of great light bouncing into some of the buildings at different times throughout the day. Some of these photographs from Coleman's-Kop have turned out to be amongst my favourites of the whole trip. There are a whole host of other locations I spent time at on this trip, both to scout and photograph, But if I included every single stop I made, I'd take over the whole show, something the producers weren't too happy about. So I guess it just leaves me to say that if you've enjoyed what you've seen and would like to join us here on our next visit, Ruth will tell you how to get all the details in just a moment. I've got to work out how to get out of this room now, because I've just been informed that I'm required for the next feature. See you soon.
What a fantastic looking place. I'll be putting my name in the hat to be one of the guides on that trip for sure. And if you'd like to join us, then all you need to do is sign up to receive our newsletter, which is how we let you know about all the exciting things that we're doing. This includes photo holidays that we're hosting, when new Photography Online episodes are available, plus a reminder of when one of our live shows is coming up, as obviously you wouldn't want to miss that. So, how many balloons did you count? If you want to win a £2,000 holiday here on Skye, then don't put the answer in the comments, enter via the competition link, which is in the video description, as that's where the winner will be chosen from. Okay, well, let me quickly explain about becoming a Photography Online official supporter, an exclusive club of people we are affectionately calling our POOs. When we left you at the end of 2022, a majority of the show was funded by our very generous supporters. This investment is key to making the show possible, as unfortunately we can't afford to be touring around the national parks of the UK or taking extra time on our trips to record content for the show without your support. We previously had a few different levels of supporter packages, but we're making it far simpler this time with only one package. The good news is that it's only $3.99 per month, or the equivalent of whatever the currency is where you live, which is the same as buying us a beer every now and again. If you enjoy the show and you appreciate the work that we put in to make it happen, then we would really welcome your support. And for your small monthly donation, you'll get access to our PO live show and can be proud to be one of our POOs. There will also be other benefits too, so it's well worth it and could be the best $3.99 you'll spend all month. Just press the join button and follow the simple instructions. If you are watching on a smart TV, then you will need to access the join button on a computer or a tablet. And if you'd like to donate more than $3.99, as I know many of you might, then there is an optional supporter donation in our online shop. Once again, we need your help to fund the show, so if you want to see it continue, then please get behind us now. Okay, well, enough about that. Before I let you go, I've got another feature for you. Every one of our main shows will end with a section about film photography, but if you're a digital shooter, don't turn off. We call this Analog Affairs, but there will be lots of generic photography tips and lessons in many of these features, so regardless of whatever camera you shoot with, there will always be something to learn. Not to mention the entertainment factor. Well, it is Marcus. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Hello. Harry, it's Marcus.
Hello, alright?
Yeah, are you busy at the moment?
Not particularly, no.
Because I'm on my way to do a photo shoot, and I could really do with a hand if you're around.
Yeah, sure. What's it about?
It's about cross-processing.
Hello? You're cutting out a bit, but I mean, that sounds alright. I can meet you there. We'll see you later.
Alright, it's about half an hour. Bye.
Alright, bye.
So what we're going to do today is try some cross-processing of film. So we're going to shoot both colour negative and colour slide film, but then process them in the opposite chemicals. And the results are very unpredictable, but they can be really wacky and dramatic, or it can be a complete failure. So I'm going to shoot lots of film, and then I can experiment a little bit with the processing.
Today I'm being joined by Lexi, who has kindly agreed to be the model. So before we can start, we need to choose the right clothing.
Camera-wise, I'm probably going to use the Mamiya RZ67 mostly, but I do have other options. I've got this Mamiya 6 folding camera, which is a 6x6 camera, so we might use that for something as well. But we've only got a couple of hours of daylight left, and whenever you do stuff like this, time just runs away with you. So I've bought way more than I think I'm going to need, but that's not a bad thing.
While Lexi gets ready, I work out the best angle, which in this case is going to be a straight-on shot, ensuring all the horizontal and vertical lines run true.
So the scene that we've got set here makes absolutely no sense, but that's why I like it. because we've got this abandoned old shop, which, I don't know, could have been a shop for anything. And I needed somewhere for Lexi to sit. And I thought that the step there was probably a bit too low. So I bought an old wooden television, which has got nothing to do with the rest of the scene, but I quite like it. So we'll give that a go and see how we get on.
With the camera and the scene all set up, the only thing we're missing now is a model.
Got me. So I think, Lexi, we'll have you sitting here. Try not to disturb this moss too much with your feet, because we might end up regretting that. But obviously you're not as tall as me, so you won't look awkward like I do. But sit there and see how it looks.
For all you mirrorless users, here's what a real viewfinder looks like. But enough about that, we've got photos to take. But before we can start, I need to take an exposure reading.
So f4, we're getting 1/60th of a second, which is perfect. It's more than fast enough. I'll try and be as quick as I can, and then you can put your jacket back on again. Right, just, yeah, it's all about your hair. That's fine at the moment. Just be looking at the car there. I like the position of your feet there, so don't move those. Can you lean forward on your elbow a little bit? That's the one. There we go. Really good, Lexi. Stay exactly there. Just need to wait for that hair to just pull the hair behind your ear. Love it. So that's one roll of positive colour film shot, which we're going to develop as negative colour film. So this is now the negative film, which we're going to develop as positive film. Okay, so start by looking at the back of the van, and then look maybe at the passenger door or the driver's door of this van here. That's it, there we go. I quite like those. You're looking out of frame, but it works so well. That's it, perfect. Don't move from there. That looks great. It's a really nice frame we got that. So we've got one colour positive, one colour negative. So what I'm going to do now is black and white of the same pose, and then we'll move on to do something completely different. So this film here is actually black and white infrared film, but I'm not going to shoot it with an infrared filter, so it's not going to look particularly infrared, and that can work quite well for female portraits. Basically anything red will be rendered as quite a bright tone, so it's good for smoothing out skin, things like that. So I think what we're going to do is use this camera here, which is from 1956. So this camera's about as simple as it gets. All I've got is aperture, exposure time, and focus. That's it. But don't really need much more than that. What the? What? No! Cross-processing!
This is embarrassing, isn't it?
Sorry about that, Lexi. I can only apologise on behalf of my colleague. Okay, as we were. Okay, and then I'm just going to come in a bit closer and try some funky angles from down here.
Naturally, you would expect a vintage look from a vintage camera, but check out those light leaks, which just add to the atmosphere of the scene and the character of this 70-year-old camera. Even Delta 3200 shows good tonal transitions, with the large film area ensuring the grain isn't too pronounced, yet providing that authentic analog feel. But enough about these black and white shots, let's get to the cross-processing. Here's the positive film processed in C41 chemicals, which are intended for negative film, which is why we have a negative image here. You can see straight away that these are going to be funky, but we won't get a proper idea as to how they look until we scan them. If you're wondering why one of the frames is cut in half, this is because I clip tested this part of the film to check the exposure was correct. It was, so I processed the rest of the film for the same duration. Here's a scan of my favourite shot on the roll. When cross-processing, it's difficult to predict what the results will look like, but the colours here are exactly what I would have hoped for. I absolutely love this shot. It has a timeless quality to it and an atmosphere which would be virtually impossible to replicate without shooting on film and cross-processing. Yes, there are digital filters and software plugins out there which will claim to give you a cross-processed film result, but I can assure you it isn't going to compete with the real thing. Here's the negative film processed with E6 chemicals which are intended for positive film. There's no denying it, these are about 1.5 stops underexposed. As you can see, I also clip tested the first frame, but despite giving the rest of the roll twice the development time, it's still at least 1 stop under. But regardless of this, I was still able to get all but the darkest shadow detail back out of the scan, and I'm reasonably happy with this shot too. The extreme contrast and funky colours certainly suit the scene, but it would have been better at twice the exposure. Cross-processing certainly won't suit all genres. For example, forget trying it with landscapes or wildlife. But if you find the right subject, it can add that touch of class and elevate the image to another level. I'll certainly be trying this again, and hopefully this has given you the incentive to get creative with cross-processing too.
That image of Harry cross-dressing is going to keep me up tonight. Now I've seen it, I definitely cannot unsee it. So what did you think of our new show? We spent most of last year putting everything together and we've got 9 more action-packed shows still to come for season 24. If you liked it, do spread the word by telling your friends, shout about us on your socials and get the word on the street that this is the best online place for photographers. Also, do let us know any comments, suggestions or questions that you might have. We read them all and reply to as many as possible. And if you can, please show your appreciation by pressing the join button and becoming one of our poos for only the price of a drink each month, and you'll get more than double the content to watch, so it's great value for money. We'll be back in just a couple of weeks with our first PO live show for season 24. As I mentioned earlier, the first one is available for everyone to watch, just so you know how much fun our poos are having. And don't forget to check out our brand new Photography Online podcast. The first show is available now, so just search for it on any podcast platform to listen for free. Until next month, take good care, but most of all, take good photos.